Congratulations on this project. I'm a huge fan of Gloria and Emilio. How did this project first come to you?
Thank you for having me, first of all. And your question about how did I first started doing this? I first got this as a performer on Broadway. I auditioned for the show. Jerry Mitchell was the director, and Sergio Trujillo was the choreographer. And I played the role of Kenny Ortega in the show, and loved the story. Alexander de Linares had done such a great job with the script. I was in love with it. But then I had to leave the show to go direct a musical in Washington, D.C., In the Heights by Lin-Manuel Miranda. And that show ended up winning 9 Helen Hayes Awards. And in that journey, Jerry Mitchell really respected my decision to transfer from performer to creative and gave me the chance to go to Amsterdam and be his associate director for On Your Feet. So I got to be in it, and then I got to direct it for Jerry in Amsterdam. He came in 3 days before it opened, checked out the work, and said, "Check, beautiful." And I learned so much in the process, but also fell deeper in love with the material. So when Gala Theatre called me to do a Spanish premiere of it, I said, absolutely. That put me in touch with Gloria directly. We were working and collaborating a lot with the material in Spanish, the translations, the lyrics. She was very passionate about a lot of the music, the way that it was going to sound now in Spanish, because some of the songs were bilingual from the beginning in her creation. Some of them were created in Spanish, some only in English. So she was really excited about that process, and that gave me a direct contact, with artistic work with her. And the show, they came to Washington D.C. They really enjoyed it. I was able to go work with Emilio on some other projects because of that. And then the national tour happened, and here we are.
That sounds so awesome. They are, Latino music royalty. How
Yeah.
daunting task is it to take on this project?
How what?
Was it a daunting task to take on this project, or how comfortable are you with it?
You know, it's an interesting way of looking at it, because for sure there's a pressure and responsibility, but at the other end it's like a natural progression of who I am, who we are, right? We as Latina humans. For me, I was 5 years old and I was in on these in a living room dancing the conga, right? It was like I grew up with this music. I grew up with this thing. My mom blasted the albums. I was in intermediate school, and my abuela had, at that time it wasn't tapes anymore or discos, it was the CDs, and my abuela had the Mi Tierra CD, right? When I was in my uncle's house, the whole Puedes Llegar song was part of the Olympics, Olimpiadas Latinas and Panamericanas. And so I play that song as we wash his car over and over. Like, for me to be in this place of life artistically, telling the story, it is a responsibility, but it's also a celebration of my own life. It's a celebration of our Latino community's life. It's a celebration of us we arriving at places that we never thought we could arrive. And when you look at what they've done with people like Ricky Martin, Shakira, themselves, right? Artists like Gianmarco, who compose and get to pass on their torch of music to so many other artists. Like, that's what we're doing with this piece of theater. And as I direct it, I'm now giving it to the artists that are coming from Venezuela, from Colombia, from Argentina, that are getting a chance to believe that they are enough as they tell the story. And so I just feel like it's a very natural growth progression thing that we share, and I like seeing it from that angle rather than from the pressure, because if I do it from the pressure, then maybe I explode, right? It becomes too much, because I am dealing with very respectful people that I've admired all my life. But when I see it from the love and the kindness, that the story of two humans really fighting for what they believe, and how that translates into the humans that we are now doing what we believe, I think it's a very natural flow.
Coming from the point where you were on stage with this production and now you're behind the scenes, how has your perspective on this script and this show changed, or is it any different from the way you used to see it?
Definitely. I mean, the first I one of my mentors is Sergio Trujillo. He was the choreographer for the show on Broadway. And when I got this tour, he and I talked, and I was like, "Listen, Sergio, I'm so excited, and I'm a little on the fence. I don't know what things from Broadway I want to keep and honor the work that we did there and that he did as a choreographer versus the ones that I'm gonna want to play and change and morph for authenticity." And he, the first thing he said to me is, "Please, as long as you don't change rap, we're fine." And I said, "Oops." Raps is the first thing I changed because I had so much passion for the work and for the material that I had all these ideas about celebrating the Latin America scope, from folkloric, backgrounds to all the way to the other conceptual realities that we put into it. So what I'm saying is like El Carnavalito step from Argentina to the all of a sudden the Marinera Norteña flows or the plena or the bomba styles. Like I wanted to fuse all of that so that it was all of the people in Latin America saying get better Gloria, better Gloria, and so it was the first thing I changed. And it was the funniest thing that my mentor was like, don't touch that one. I was like, "Ugh." That was the first one I touched. But so it's just really like I don't know how to say it. It's like when you are a child and you're like given like un buen libro de pintar and you have really great crayons and you start like and then all of a sudden 10 hours have passed and you didn't stop coloring your book, Like that's how I feel with this work.
That sounds so awesome. It sounds like you have such a passion for this show. Do you ever wish that you could get on stage and perform again?
I do. And I was in rehearsals this week getting the new cast ready for La Mirada Theatre here in California. And we were working with the Emilio material. And you see, like, I'm looking at a little Emilio now, I'm kidding. And I went to Clay, who was part of the Miami Sound Machine. He's been the music director on Broadway on the first national tour, and he's now my music supervisor on this tour. I was like, Clay, you know what? I want to sing Emilio's songs. And he like got on the piano and started playing for me, and I got to sing a few of the Emilio songs. And it was a moment of laughing, but I just felt so good doing it. Like I think that if we had an emergency and I had to go on, I will come and become Emilio for a few shows. Don't tell anybody though.
That sounds so awesome. This story is very important for the Latin community, but I think their story is very universal and it could impact a lot of people. How do you hope every community or communities in general respond to this production?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think the common denominator is coming out of the dark, right? We as humans, we all have high moments, low moments, and there are moments when we think we can no longer go forward. And that's what happens here. Gloria gets in a bad car accident on tour. And I know the moment all of a sudden your body gets up and your voice, it's not rehearsed, it's not practiced, it's not trained the same way. And you just don't know you have the stamina to keep pushing forward and keep fighting. And the journey, the hero's journey is Gloria saying through the journey of this process and Emilio pulling her into the direction of work again, that we can overcome really hard moments in life. And that's a universal story, no matter where you're from. The cherry on top is that it celebrates that story through the Latin culture perspective. And that also does something beautiful for a universal thing, which is we embrace each other. We take each other in as humans rather than anything else. And I think that's the kind of message we need in our world today.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. I can't wait to watch this show, and congratulations on all your success.
Thank you so much, and thank you for this time.
No, you can't control yourself any longer. Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. If I could read